The Cleveland Charge have their home opener this Friday night. Experience Charge basketball at Public Hall this season. The Cleveland Charge, the NBA's G League affiliate of the Cavaliers, are back in action for their 5th season in Cleveland with Charge alumni like Dean Wade and Sam Merrill and two-way players like Naquan Tomlin and Luke Travers, showing that the NBA G League is the home of future stars of the NBA. Charge basketball is the best option for affordable family fun in the land with fan giveaways, exciting theme nights, post-game player autographs, and more. The Charge tip-off on Friday, November 14th at 7 against the Wisconsin Herd. It is opening night, presented by Rocket, and the first 2,000 fans receive a mini hoop schedule. Tickets are on sale now at clevelandcharge.com. Make sure you go out there and support the Cleveland Charge. Bull.
Yes.
You got into a little bit of a argument with some people on social media about 12 hours after you said you had deleted social media off your phone because you did not
I wasn't
want to
on my
argue
phone.
with people.
At home, I look at it sometimes.
So Stephen Vogt won his 2nd consecutive Manager of the Year award.
Yeah, this
He's
was crazy
the
to me.
first coach ever to win it in each of his first 2 seasons as manager. So shout out to Stephen Vogt. He joins Kevin Stefanski in the elusive 2-time Coach of the Year in Cleveland category. But Bull,
here's what I said, Jay. I tweeted last night, I think Stephen Vogt's a very good manager, but I would not have voted for him for Manager of the Year.
I can understand that.
And people responded as if I said he was a piece of garbage.
Yeah, let me ask you why you wouldn't have.
Because here's the thing. If you had done the vote on September 5th, would he have gotten a single vote?
No, but you don't do the vote on September 5th.
Correct. But to me, it's the Manager of the Year award. It's not the Manager of the Month award.
Sure.
Okay? A lot of people responded and said, it was the greatest comeback ever and blah, blah, blah. And you're right. And the team and he did a great job down the stretch.
Yeah.
But part of the reason they made that great comeback is because the Tigers had the biggest choke in the history of the sport.
That facilitated.
Yes.
Yes.
No
100%.
matter how great the Guardians played,
I agree.
if the Tigers had not had an all-time choke, they would not have made the playoffs, and he would not have won Manager of the Year. Now, I'm not bothered by it. I understand the argument for picking him. I'm not saying it's crazy that he won.
Yeah.
I'm just saying John Schneider.
Yep.
Did a great job the whole season.
Who's John
Now,
Schneider?
he's the Blue Jays, but
manager.
the only problem with that, and I agree with you, by the way.
Yeah.
We're in Cleveland.
Okay. Yeah.
We see the Blue Jays 10 times a year.
Right.
Maybe.
Yes.
The vote had to be done on the last day of the regular season.
Right.
Or the week after.
Yeah.
I will say that I am guilty of not knowing how good a manager he was until the playoffs. And I watched him in the playoffs, and I watched him make one brilliant move after another, not just pitching.
Right.
It was defensive replacements. It was pinch runners.
Yeah.
Everything this guy, pinch hitters.
Yeah.
Everything he did was like he was waving this magic wand, and I'm like, wow. My biggest takeaway was I knew that Blue Jays were a really good team.
Yeah.
I did not know that they had an all-world manager. I thought he did an unbelievable job.
The people voted.
And I wouldn't have voted for Schneider because the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
And we're all prisoners.
Right, everybody got caught up in that. That's why he won.
We're prisoners of the moment.
Yeah.
But in August, I was saying, man, has the rose fallen off the bloom has fallen off that rose with Vogt.
Right.
You and I talked about it. We talked about it on the show. I think he made a number of missteps this year.
Yeah.
And now I watched them more than any.
Yeah.
But a lot of his mistakes weren't just me second-hand managing. It was in the moment. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Right.
But in September, it was
he pulled it all together.
all world.
And
that's why I would have voted for him.
I'm going to interject to just give you baseball guys something to look at from an outsider, just talking about it. The fact that the Guardians, came back from, I don't know, the way they had
15 and a half games out.
They had to lose. They had to win every single game.
Just about.
Just about to get into
And
the playoffs.
the Tigers had to lose.
And the Tigers had to.
Now, we can't control what they did.
Right,
But here's the thing. I think that it absolves them a little bit because if you look at what the Tigers did, they did collapse. But the Tigers went on to go to the playoffs and advance further.
They beat us.
Yes.
They beat us.
They beat us.
So that says, okay, the Tigers are a good ball team. But the biggest thing here is you guys got to understand the Guardians had the biggest scandal hanging over their heads since the Black Sox.
And he managed it.
And that's
And two, not one. No, hold on. they lost their closer and a starting rotation pitcher, and they was naming it in the middle of the run. So
and there were stories popping up. This ain't it. There are other Guardians that are being investigated.
Right. So for him,
and he kept it together.
To keep it together, do that, and continually win during that step. That won it from right there.
Here's something else. Last year, the Tigers, who were terrible for most of the year, made an amazing run to the playoffs.
Got hot.
And Stephen Vogt won the Manager of the Year.
They
Even though
did.
the Tigers, not as big a comeback as the Guardians.
Right.
The Blue Jays, I get it, they have a higher payroll than the Guardians.
Much.
It's not Yankees-Dodgers level payroll.
What is it? Isn't it near $200 million?
They were the fifth highest in baseball.
Yeah, it's very high.
Okay, but a lot of that, their lineup, like, there's a lot of guys who came out of nowhere in that lineup.
Well,
outside of Guerrero.
Look at Ernie. I mean, we talked about Ernie Clement on this show.
Miles Straw.
I mentioned in May, I'm like, wow, I'd like to have this guy back.
Yeah, Addison Barger kind of came out of nowhere. You know, big season.
They did.
They had a lot of guys like that.
Now, they also had the high money guys, too.
But but in the lineup, it's really just Guerrero.
Yeah, but, well, that's how I take him.
They spent a lot of money on Anthony.
Springer makes a lot of money.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, it's Springer. They
does.
spent a lot of money on Santander, but he was out basically the whole season.
Was, yeah.
Bo Bichette missed the whole stretch of the season.
That's right.
And he survived those things. Their bullpen stunk, and he found his way around it.
Yeah, listen.
And what I would say ultimately is the Blue Jays finished in last place the year before.
Yeah.
And that's why I would vote. Again, I'm not saying you're an idiot if you voted for Stephen Vogt.
Right.
I understand the argument. But
you shouldn't have been desecrated like you're the worst
one guy
thing ever.
said, you work in Cleveland. You should support the Cleveland guys.
No, that doesn't have anything to do
I got to
with
give my
it.
honest opinion.
Yeah, no, that I would say doesn't make any difference where we work.
Let me make it very clear. I think Stephen Vogt, through 2 years, has done a tremendous job as manager of the Guardians.
Absolutely.
I would have voted for him last year, even though there was a case for Hinch, right?
Yeah.
Hinch.
But
I would have voted for him last year. I would have voted him second this year. That's hardly an insult.
I think one thing that gets caught up when you talk about voting for MVPs is there are times where there could be recency bias in. So you vote for somebody last year because you thought, okay, well, I can see where they actually won the award. You give your reasons why. Then this year comes around,
someone else's turn.
It's somebody else's turn. Let's spread it around.
Right.
But if it
in
was
both leagues, the same manager won, which is
never happened.
If it wasn't for the miraculous comeback, he had to have three things happen. He had to make the playoffs. He had to have a miraculous comeback, and he had to have a crazy scandal where people probably is going to go to jail for him to get that award. Now I don't care what he do next year. They can win a World Series. He ain't getting it next year. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah, I can't see.
Well, the playoffs doesn't count anyway. They vote before that.
All right, but by the way, he is not getting it. He better win 120 games if he wants that award.
Interesting.
3 years
One of the interesting things, I don't know, I found this interesting, is that, and it's not the same exact voters because different reporters get different awards to vote on.
Right.
It's not the same guys voting on everything. I think what was interesting is the writers kind of went prisoner of the moment with Vogt because of the Great September, and yet for NL Rookie of the Year, again, a different voting base.
Yeah.
Cubs pitcher Cade Horton finished second to Drake Baldwin. Drake Baldwin was in the big leagues the whole season. Horton came up in late May.
Right.
But the second half of the year, Horton had an ERA of about 150. He had the best ERA in baseball, I believe, in the second half of the year. For a rookie, is crazy.
Unheard of, yeah.
And yet Baldwin, who was just good the whole season, got the vote. It was less prisoner of the moment in that vote, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting when you look at these things. It's all, it's
by the
subjective.
way, Nick Kurtz won the AL Rookie of the Year unanimously. He was, of course, selected after Travis Bazzana.
Right, which we watched all year as he put up ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
And we
Bad job,
that could have been us.
Nuggets. Bad job. You're supposed to have this topic. Who's the better two-time coach of the year, Vogt or Stefanski?
Well,
right
that was
now,
the second part.
I think it'd be unanimous for Vogt right now.
But quickly before we move off of that, I
hold
want to
more
bring
weight?
this up. What scares me about this is Vogt is likely to get poached by some other team that looks at the hot young manager and decides that...
And we're going to give him power. He can actually decide who's in the lineup.
He can fill out his own lineup card, and he's going to make real money. And that scares me tremendously because, the fact that they brought this guy in on the heels of having a Hall of Fame manager, again, it's the difference between an organization that gets it right and an organization that continuously gets it wrong.
Right.
The Guardians know the process. They know how important the manager is. They interview the right guys. They select the right guy. The Browns, time and time again, we're scratching our head going, how did this guy get the job?
The one thing I'll say about Vogt potentially leaving, like Francona was here forever. Why? I mean, he was frustrated at times, especially later, about the lack of payroll.
Yep.
But if you're an employee of the Guardians, you like being. It's a good organization to work for.
Guys I talk to love it.
Because there's stability, right?
Yeah, they
Why
love
do you
it.
think Mike Chernoff, who grew up a Mets fan in New York, turned down the job to be the GM of the Mets?
Yeah.
His hometown team.
Because
same with Antonetti. Antonetti could take his pick of jobs.
100%. So
and they want him
and
win
there's
here.
not that many teams that will spend huge money on a manager these days. Not a lot.
I will say that it has been devalued a lot.
Yes.
But I got to tell you, Bull, after I watched, and that's a different conversation. Like how important is a baseball manager? That's a different conversation. But when I watched the World Series and I watched Dave Roberts make the moves that he made, and Schneider make the moves that they made, it really drives home. These guys might only swing the meter 8-10 games a year, but you don't build a team for regular season success. You build it for postseason success. And I watched two guys put on master classes in managing.
Both did a great job.
They were incredible, Bull. They were as good.
Yeah.
That was as well a managed World Series as I can remember.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best World Series I've ever seen.
I think it was this offseason in terms of managerial hirings has been quite interesting. The Giants, I don't know if you followed this at all.
I did. They went to college.
Hired a college manager. Never happened.
And a controversial
awesome,
college coach.
Now, we've seen guys go from college, become a
pitching coach.
Pitching
Yes,
coach or
absolutely.
bench coach.
But we
Pat
haven't
Murphy
seen
of the
this.
Brewers, who's a really good manager, was in college, was Craig Counsell's college
coach, yes.
And then he came with Counsell to be his bench coach. We've never seen a guy go directly from college to Major League Baseball.
And this guy's controversial. He's
he's awesome.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. But my question is always this: same thing when they do this with college. When you bring a guy like that in from college, are the paid adults going to respond the same way the college kids do?
Especially in baseball with a contract guaranteed.
Especially when they make 20 times more than you do.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so. So that's going to be interesting to see.
But he was hired by Buster Posey, who's as baseball a man as it can be.
Knows the game.
And, meanwhile, the Padres.
I remember he was a rookie. How old are we?
Buster Posey knew the game as well as anyone.
Yeah.
Catchers always make the better.
Managers,
Stephen Vogt was a catcher.
Is he a Hall of Famer yet? Has he been inducted?
I don't think so. No, Buster Posey's not a Hall of
I
Famer.
mean, how many years did he play? Because I could remember
12. He had some bad injuries. He had a collision.
I
thought that destroyed his career.
For all intents and purposes.
Yeah, and the Padres, meanwhile, hired Craig Stammen, who I think just retired last year. He's a long-time relief pitcher. And
right.
I think he retired last year. He was in the front office for a year, working with the GM, and now they made him the manager this year. We're seeing a lot of that, too. Like, guys just... it used to be you had to be an assistant coach or you had to go down to the minors and be a minor league coach.
But when things work, it's a copycat league just like the NFL. Right. Vogt going from the field to a year as bench coach with the Mariners.
Yeah.
And then immediately gets a managerial job and has success.
Yeah.
Other guys are looking at that saying, you know what, maybe we need players that are managers that are closer to the players in age.
Right.
Are you going to see more of that? Because I think the NFL started moving with the young guys and the young.
I think the tricky part is remember when the Cubs fired Joe Madden and they had David Ross be the manager?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It didn't work.
It didn't work. Part of that was they were it was a variety.
They didn't have the talent that they did.
It started declining.
Yeah.
Part of that was though. He had played with a lot of those players.
That's tough.
I think that makes it tricky.
That's a tough ask.
And that could be the issue with Craig Stammen, too, because he was just a player on the Padres 2 years ago.
That's tough.
So whereas Stephen Vogt went to another team.
Yeah.
I think that's a little easier than
I agree with that.
These guys were my buddies, and now I'm the manager.
Yeah.
It's hard to find that line.
Yeah. All that being
before
said,
we move on.
It's still impressive what Vogt did.
G. Bush, you asked, when did Posey play last? 2021 was his last full season. Do you guys think he's in first ballot Hall of Famer?
That's tough.
I don't think he's a first ballot.
What's his career WAR, by the way?
Career WAR? I can find that for you. His career WAR is 45.
No.
How I look at it is, all right, let me see.
How many World Series did he win? 3?
Let me see who were the recent catchers that got inducted.
Well, Joe Mauer.
Oh, wow.
Joe Mauer, I think, is the most recent catcher,
I
right?
think he is.
And
Mauer won one World Series.
Posey's a one-time
I don't think he won
MVP, a Rookie of the Year,
Did he
a
win one
1,
with the
2,
Twins?
3,
No, I don't
4,
think so.
Yeah,
5,
you're right.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10-time All-Star.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he
Nine-time
gets
All-Star.
in.
Nine-time.
How many
I don't
home
think
runs?
He gets in on first ballot.
Not a ton of home runs, only 158.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
catchers are so
it's
tricky.
different. You judge them.
Catchers
Yadier
are-
Molina's going to get in eventually.
Yes, you
He hit
look at them,
302
how they
though
handle the
for his
pitching
career.
staff.
Right,
He
right, right.
hit
That's
what?
their value.
302 for his
Oh,
career.
yeah, they're going to get him in.
Yeah,
Posey will get in eventually. I just
302,
don't
yeah.
know that
I
he's
think
going
it'll
to be
take
a
him a
first
couple
balloter.
years. I just don't think he's going to be in
I
the
think what's
first
interesting with the
ballot.
Hall of Fame this offseason is that Bonds and Clemens and some of those steroid guys.
their last
they're
shot?
now they're with those, whatever they call it now, the
Yeah, they
Veterans
used to be the
Committee.
Veterans
Committee.
Committee.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what
How they treat 'em.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to get in. I'd vote him in personally.
Jay,
but
I would
Jay,
too.
Roger Clemens. I remember Roger Clemens had about 3 different careers, man.
He did.
Roger Clemens
Thanks to performance enhancing
But
drugs.
he was. I just remember these dudes being super, super nice.
Yeah.
The first time around, like Roger Clemens for the Red Sox was crazy.
By the
Barry
way,
Bonds
The
is
Pirates was crazy.
people have been killing Ryan Clark lately. I'm going to kill him for something else. He said Barry. He said he was talking about Barry Bonds' better baseball player than Shohei Ohtani, which I disagree with. But he also said, and this is completely ridiculous, and anybody that was watching baseball at this time knows. He goes, he was already the best player when he was in Pittsburgh before.
No, he
starting.
was not.
That is not. He was
He was an
very
all-star.
good.
He was an all-star.
Great player.
Yes.
He was not the best player in baseball.
was
in
not the
Pittsburgh.
best player.
He was one of the best players
How
in the
many
league.
He
MVPs
added the
he got?
power piece to his game.
how many MVPs? He
I don't
got?
know if he won any in Pittsburgh.
No.
I looked it up in a sec.
I don't remember.
We got
I
to
think
get
he may
one
have.
other.
Okay.
Didn't he win 7 and Roger Clemens won 7 Cy Youngs?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they're
That's
the equivalent of
No,
one
but I don't know
another.
if he won any in Pittsburgh.
I think he did win one.
Okay,
I
maybe
think
he did.
I think he did.
Well, by the way, both.
Barry Bonds did win an MVP in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
won 2 MVPs in Pittsburgh.
all
Okay.
right, that's
Yeah.
all right.
But
And
then won
finished-
what, 5
Finished second, another one.
in San Francisco?
But he wasn't looked at the same until he went to the Giants.
no, not even
Yeah, he
close.
won 5
Again,
in-
we all thought he was awesome.
great.
If he
You know
had
what I
not-
remembered him for? Honestly, this terrible throw in the World Series.
that was an all-time bad
It was
throw.
an all-time.
He's the only player to win
To
four,
you know who the catcher
4
was?
consecutive MVPs. He's the
Yes, he's the only one to
You know,
do
the
it.
catcher
His
was for
baseball
the Pirates.
reference page is absurd.
I'll be
Number 10, is it Lavalier?
Mike Lavalier.
Yeah.
Lavalier.
Lavalier. Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah.
If
That
you
is
guys
rather
wanna just-
obscure right
Yeah,
there.
it is obscure. You're
If
right.
you ever want to just
that
get a good
throw
chuckle,
was dribbled.
go on Barry
One of the
Bonds'
all-time bad
Pro
throws.
Baseball Reference page. It
Here's
is
the thing.
absurd.
If Barry Bonds had if you take his Pittsburgh career and extrapolate the rest of his career, he's still a Hall of Famer.
100%.
But he's not the best player of all time level.
No. But he was, I will say this,
Yeah.
to Ryan Clark's point,
Yeah.
he's the most
Feared hitter.
feared hitter in the history
never
of
seen
Major League
anything like
Baseball.
it.
Just go look at his intentional walks.
Never
stats.
seen anything like
Absurd.
it.
Never.
He
But-
got walked with the bases loaded multiple times.
Many times. I remember one time Arizona did it
Yeah.
in a meaningful game.
Yeah.
But there's this point. There was a demarcation line on his stats. You can almost
Yeah.
tell when he started using
100%.
And so we took an already great player and
Yeah.
put him in the all-time great
Superhuman.
category.
Yeah.
And how much did performance-enhancing drugs help that?
Yes. And by the way,
lot.
both Clemens and Jeff Kent, part of the reason Jeff Kent hasn't gotten in the Hall of Fame because he's one of the greatest second basemen of all time. And this is wrong. I don't like this.
Yeah, he was
2 of the
prickly.
all-time jerks
Yeah, big
in
time.
baseball history. Dave Kingman, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest jerks.
Jim Rice. But the
Yeah,
media
but he
did not
did
like
get
Jim
in.
Rice. He
Yeah,
got in.
took him a while.
But they punished him.
Yeah.
They
We
punished
got
him.
one last topic we got to get to before we do Super Chats. It's brought